From battlefield tactics to secret ceremonies, medieval knights developed an elaborate system of hand signals to communicate silently. These gestures, born from necessity and refined over centuries, helped warriors coordinate attacks and identify allies. The medieval knights didn't create their hand signals from scratch. They actually borrowed a lot from the ancient Romans. Roman legions were masters of silent communication on the battlefield. Their commanders used a set of hand movements to direct thousands of soldiers without saying a word. They had signals for advance, retreat, and form up, which were passed down through military manuals and training. When Rome fell, many of these signals survived through military traditions and documents. The knights picked up these basics and added their own twists to fit their style of fighting. Think of it like inheriting your grandparents' recipe and adding your own ingredients. The core stays the same, but you make it your own. The Romans' influence on knight signals shows how military knowledge gets passed down through generations. Let's explore how knights used hand signals during actual combat. When charging into battle, knights needed a way to coordinate without shouting over the chaos. A raised fist meant hold position, while a forward-pointing palm signaled advance. For more complex moves, they used combinations, like tapping their shield then pointing left to direct a flanking attack. These signals were especially useful during ambushes or night raids when silence was crucial. Knights would practice these movements repeatedly during training until they became second nature. Each group of knights also developed their own unique signals, which gave them an edge since enemy forces couldn't understand their silent commands. The most skilled commanders could direct entire formations using just their hands, making their forces move like a well-oiled machine. Beyond the battlefield, knights used special hand signals during their private ceremonies and rituals. These secret gestures helped them recognize fellow knights and showed their rank within the order. During initiation ceremonies, new knights learned specific hand movements that marked them as members of their brotherhood. Some gestures were simple, like a particular way of gripping another knight's hand, while others were more detailed sequences of movements. Each knightly order had its own set of signs. Think of them like secret handshakes, but much more meaningful. These signals weren't just for show. They helped knights identify real members of their order from imposters. Knights would test strangers claiming to be brothers by asking them to perform these secret movements. If someone got the sequence wrong, they were quickly exposed as outsiders. The way knights positioned their armored fingers wasn't random. It was actually a detailed code for battlefield communication. A closed fist with the thumb extended meant enemy spotted, while spreading 3 fingers warned about archers ahead. Some signals were universal across different knight groups, like 2 fingers raised for split into pairs. But the really clever part was how they used their gauntlets to show distance and numbers. The number of fingers raised could show how many enemy units were approaching, while the angle of the hand indicated their direction. Knights even developed ways to show terrain features. A wavy motion with the fingers meant river ahead, while a downward chopping motion warned of steep ground. These finger signals were perfect for quiet scouting missions where speaking could give away their position. One of the most important uses of hand signals was helping knights tell friends from enemies when deep in hostile territory. They developed a clever system of casual-looking gestures that wouldn't attract attention. A knight might adjust their helmet in a specific way or rest their hand on their sword pommel using exact finger positions. These movements looked natural to outsiders, but carried hidden meanings. For example, scratching your chin with 3 fingers could mean, "I'm a friend from the northern kingdoms," while touching your belt with your left hand might identify you as part of a specific order. Spies and scouts relied heavily on these signals when gathering information behind enemy lines. They could silently identify allies without risking exposure by speaking their own language. Medieval tournaments weren't just about showing off fighting skills. They had their own secret language of hand signals. Knights used subtle gestures to communicate with their squires and other knights during competitions. A quick tap on the shield might request a fresh lance, while a specific wave could signal readiness to begin. Some knights even used signals to show respect to their opponents or acknowledge a particularly good hit. Tournament marshals also relied on hand signals to control the flow of events, using standardized gestures that every participant understood. These signals helped keep the events running smoothly and safely, letting knights focus on the competition while staying coordinated with their support team on the ground. When defending castles, knights needed a special set of hand signals to coordinate their forces without alerting attackers. Guards on watchtowers used quick hand movements to warn about approaching enemies. A circular motion meant cavalry, while up and down movements indicated foot soldiers. Inside the castle walls, defenders used signals to coordinate arrow volleys and boiling oil drops. A downward sweep of the arm told archers to fire, while a crossed arms gesture meant hold position. Knights also developed signals for reporting wall damage and requesting reinforcements. Two hands raised meant wall breach, while a fist over the heart called for immediate backup. These silent commands were essential since shouting orders would give away defensive positions and plans to the enemy below. When knights joined the Crusades, they added religious gestures to their signal system, blending military and spiritual communication. These sacred signs came from church traditions, like making the sign of the cross in a specific way to show you were a Christian warrior. Crusader knights used special finger positions during prayers before battle, and some orders like the Templars had their own blessed gestures. They would touch their heart, then shoulder, then sword in a triangle pattern to ask for divine protection. These movements helped unite knights from different countries who spoke different languages but shared the same faith. The religious signals also helped them spot fellow Christian warriors in foreign lands where they couldn't easily tell friend from foe. Learning hand signals was a key part of a squire's training, starting from their first day serving a knight. Young squires spent hours practicing these movements until they could do them without thinking. They started with basic signals, come here, stop, watch out, before moving on to more complex battle commands. Knights would test their squires regularly, making them respond to signals during practice fights and daily tasks. The clever part was how they taught these signals. They'd turn it into a game, where squires had to complete tasks using only hand movements. Senior squires would help teach the newcomers, creating a chain of knowledge that kept these signals alive through generations. Some orders even had special training grounds where squires could practice signals while riding horses or wearing full armor. It's amazing how many medieval knight hand signals are still used by soldiers today. The halt signal and raised open palm hasn't changed in centuries. Modern military units still use the closed fist for freeze and pointed fingers for move in that direction, just like knights did. Special forces teams have kept the old knight practice of using finger counts to show numbers of enemies spotted. Even the basic "rally on me" signal, tapping the top of your helmet, comes from knights gathering their forces. The biggest difference is that today's soldiers have added radio communication, but when they need to stay quiet, they fall back on these time-tested gestures. Navy SEALs, Army Rangers, and other elite units still train extensively in hand signals, proving that sometimes the old ways are the best ways. From ancient Rome to modern special forces, hand signals have shaped military communication for centuries. Thanks for joining us on this fascinating journey. If you enjoyed learning these historical secrets, hit like, subscribe, and share with fellow history fans.